Look at your calendar. It's January 6th, 2026. While the mainstream media is busy recycling old political narratives and debating the same tired domestic issues, something far more dangerous is happening at your local gas station. You felt it, haven't you? That slight hesitation every time you look at the price per gallon. But this isn't just about inflation, and it's certainly not about a simple supply chain hiccup. We are currently witnessing the final act of a 50-year-old drama that has kept the Western world wealthy at the expense of everyone else. The era of cheap, reliable energy is not just fading, it is being dismantled by design. Today, we're going to look past the headlines and uncover the truth about the Venezuela-US oil trap and why the American dollar is losing its most powerful bodyguard, the petrodollar. To understand why your life is getting more expensive, you have to understand the petrodollar. Since the 1970s, the US dollar has been backed by black gold. Every country that wanted to buy oil had to buy dollars first. This created a global artificial demand for the greenback, allowing the US to print money and export its inflation to the rest of the world. It was the perfect system, until it wasn't. As we stand here in 2026, that system is fracturing. Countries are no longer afraid of US sanctions because they've found alternatives. The moment oil is traded in yuan, rubles, or euros on a mass scale, the trillions of dollars held overseas will come flooding back home, devaluing your savings overnight. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it is basic mathematics and geopolitical reality that is currently unfolding in real time. Now, let's talk about the country that holds the key to this entire collapse, Venezuela. Most Westerners see Venezuela as a failed state, a cautionary tale of socialism gone wrong. And while the humanitarian crisis is real, the strategic reality is even bigger. Venezuela sits on the world's largest proven oil reserves, over 300 billion barrels. That's more than Saudi Arabia. For decades, the U.S. tried to ignore or overthrow the Maduro government, thinking they could survive on shale oil and Middle Eastern alliances. But as of today, those alliances are crumbling. The U.S. shale boom has peaked, and the cost of extraction is skyrocketing. Suddenly, the dictator in Caracas isn't just an enemy. He's the only person standing between the Western world and a total energy shutdown. Maduro knows this, and he's playing his cards perfectly. Nicolas Maduro has survived multiple coup attempts, crippling sanctions, and international isolation. How? Because he understood a truth that Washington refused to accept. The world needs his oil more than he needs the world's approval. In early 2026, we are seeing a desperate pivot from the White House. Secret delegations, eased sanctions, and quiet handshakes are happening behind closed doors. But Maduro isn't giving his oil away for free anymore. He has seen the rise of the BRICS alliance and the defiance of the global south. He is demanding more than just money. He is demanding a seat at the table and a shift away from dollar-denominated trade. This leverage is what makes current petrol pricing so volatile. The uncertainty you see at the pump is actually the sound of a global superpower negotiating its own decline. If you think the government has a backup plan, look at the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It was designed for emergencies, for wars and natural disasters. Instead, it has been used as a political tool to artificially lower gas prices during election cycles. By January 2026, the SPR is at its lowest level in decades. We have burned through our insurance policy to win temporary approval ratings. Now, with the reserves depleted and domestic production stalling, the U.S. has no buffer left. When a supply shock hits, whether from a conflict in the Middle East or a policy shift in South America, there's nothing to stop gas prices from doubling in a matter of weeks. You are living in a house with no foundation, hoping the wind doesn't blow while the storm of the century is brewing. You cannot analyze U.S. oil prices without looking at Beijing and Moscow. In 2026, the alliance between these three nations has solidified into a formidable wall against Western influence. China provides the technology and infrastructure, Russia provides the military backing, and Venezuela provides the raw resources. Together, they are creating a closed-loop economy that doesn't require a single U.S. dollar to function. When Venezuela sells its heavy crude to China, it's not for greenbacks, it's for infrastructure, military hardware, and debt forgiveness. This effectively removes millions of barrels from the open market, the market that determines the price you pay in London or New York. The unconfirmed prices you hear about are a direct result of this shadow market where the West is no longer invited to bid. Here is a technical truth that most people miss. Not all oil is created equal. The U.S. is a master at producing light, sweet crude from shale, but our refineries, the massive machines that turn oil into gasoline, were built to process the heavy, sour crude that comes from places like Venezuela. We are in a bizarre situation where we export our high-quality oil and have to import low-quality oil to keep our cars running. If the supply of heavy crude from Venezuela or the Middle East is cut off, our refineries can't just switch buttons. They have to be rebuilt, a process that takes years and billions of dollars. This mismatch is a ticking time bomb for the average commuter in Canada and the UK, where refining margins are already razor thin and prices are sensitive. Let's be honest about what's happening to your paycheck. When energy costs rise, everything rises. It's not just the gas in your tank, it's the plastic in your phone, the fertilizer for your food, and the cost to ship every single Amazon package to your door. In 2026, we are entering a feedback loop where high energy prices drive inflation, which forces central banks to raise interest rates, which makes it harder for oil companies to borrow money to drill more oil. It is a self-destruct sequence. The middle class is being squeezed from both ends. You're paying more for the basic necessities of life, while the value of the currency you earn is melting away. This is the great reset that no one voted for, but everyone is experiencing. You might wonder why experts can't give a straight answer on diesel or petrol pricing lately. It's because the traditional indicators are broken. Usually, you look at OPEC or the Texas rig count. But today, the price is being set by geopolitical black swan events. A single drone strike in the Red Sea or a tweet from a South American leader can move the market more than a year's worth of production data. We have moved from an era of a market discovery to an era of geopolitical speculation. This means the numbers you see on the news are essentially guesses. The volatility is the point. It keeps the public confused and prevents them from seeing the long-term trend, a permanent shift to a higher cost energy environment. The expansion of BRICS is the final nail in the coffin for the old world order. With Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iran now sitting at the same table as Russia and China, the group controls the vast majority of the world's energy exports. They are no longer competing against each other to please Washington. They are coordinating to maximize their own sovereignty. In 2026, the Global South has realized that they have the actual goods, while the West has the paper debt. This shift in power is why you feel a sense of unease. The rules of the game have changed, and the people who used to write the rules are now struggling to follow them. Your gas price is just the most visible symptom of this global power transfer. For the American viewer, there is a hard truth to swallow. The days of cheap gas are gone forever. We built our entire civilization, our suburbs, our highways, our shopping malls, on the assumption that energy would always be nearly free. That assumption was a historical anomaly. In 2026, we are returning to the historical norm where energy is precious and expensive. In the UK and Canada, where taxes are higher, the pain is even more acute. We are seeing a forced transition to electric vehicles, not just for the environment, but because the West can no longer secure the oil needed to sustain a 100% internal combustion economy. It is a transition born of necessity and weakness, disguised as a choice for a greener future. Many politicians will try to blame big oil for the prices you see. While it's true that oil companies are making record profits, the reality is more complex. These companies aren't investing in new refineries or massive exploration projects because they see the writing on the wall. They know that the legal and political environment in the West is hostile to long-term oil investment. So instead of drilling for more, they are returning cash to shareholders and preparing for a post-oil world. This capital discipline is actually a death knell for supply. When the supply doesn't grow and the demand remains constant, the only thing that can happen is a price spike. You aren't just paying for the oil, you're paying for the lack of future oil. As the dollar weakens due to this energy crisis, people are looking for a place to hide. This is why you see the sudden interest in silver and gold again. In 2026, precious metals are no longer just for preppers. They are being used by central banks and savvy investors to hedge against the collapse of the petrodollar. When the world can no longer trust the currency backed by oil, it returns to the currency backed by physics. The pricing of silver is closely tied to energy because it takes a massive amount of diesel and electricity to mine and refine it. If oil stays high, silver cannot stay low. This is the interconnected web of the modern economy, where every crisis in one sector creates a vacuum in another. You are being told a lot of conflicting stories right now. One day it's the transition to AI, the next it's a new pandemic, and then it's a regional war. This chaos by design is meant to keep you from noticing the steady decline of your purchasing power. If you are distracted by the viral news of the day, you won't ask why your electricity bill has tripled in 3 years. The goal is to make you accept a lower standard of living as the new normal. But by watching this, you are already ahead of the curve. Understanding that energy is the root of all value is the first step in protecting yourself from the propaganda that suggests everything is fine. The US national debt is now a runaway train. In 2026, the interest payments alone are consuming a massive portion of the federal budget. To pay this debt, the government must either cut services or print more money. Printing more money devalues the dollar, which makes oil, priced in dollars, look more expensive. It's a snake eating its own tail. Every time the debt ceiling is raised, your gas price effectively goes up, even if the number at the pump stays the same, because your dollar buys less than it did yesterday. This is the silent tax that no one votes for, but everyone pays at the pump and the grocery store. We are currently in the calm before the storm. The unconfirmed prices we see today are the market trying to price in a disaster that hasn't quite happened yet, whether it's a total blockade in the Strait of Hormuz or a complete nationalization of assets in South America. A major supply shock is statistically inevitable in the next 12 months. When it happens, the just-in-time delivery systems that Western countries rely on will fail. We saw a preview of this in 2020, but the 2026 version will be driven by scarcity, not lockdowns. It will be a test of national resilience, and unfortunately, most Western nations are more divided and less prepared than ever before. Imagine the world as a giant chessboard. The US is playing with fewer pieces than it used to. Russia has the energy, China has the manufacturing, and the global south has the minerals. The US has the financial system, but that system only works if people believe in it. By using the dollar as a weapon in the form of sanctions, the West has inadvertently convinced the rest of the world to build a new system. This is why Maduro can stand defiant in Venezuela. He knows that the king on the chessboard is in check. He's just waiting for the clock to run out. The move to confirm new oil prices will be the final move in this game. If you're in the US, Canada, or the UK, your lifestyle is about to become more local. The era of cheap global shipping and endless consumerism is hitting a wall of high energy costs. This isn't necessarily the end of the world, but it is the end of an era. You will see a return to domestic manufacturing, a focus on energy efficiency, and a much tighter family budget. The people who will thrive are those who understand these trends and adapt early, whether that's through energy independence, moving to more sustainable locations, or diversifying their assets out of pure paper currency. The time to act is while the news is still unconfirmed. As we wrap up this deep dive, let's look at the facts one last time. Venezuela has the oil. The US has the debt. China has the plan. The petrodollar is the glue that held the old world together, and that glue is melting. The petrol and diesel prices you see today are not a fluke, they are a warning. We are transitioning to a multipolar world where energy is the ultimate currency. This is the truth that politicians won't tell you because they don't have a solution that doesn't involve sacrifice. But the truth is better than a comfortable lie. Knowing the reality allows you to prepare for the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Thank you for staying through this journey into the heart of the global energy war. If you found this analysis valuable, it's because you are part of a growing group of people who are tired of superficial headlines and want to see the forensics of our economy. The situation in Venezuela, the instability of petrol pricing, and the decline of the dollar are all connected. This is a story of power, greed, and the inevitable shift of history. Stay curious, keep questioning the confirmed narratives, and most importantly, stay prepared for what's coming next. We are just getting started in uncovering the errors of the past and the fortunes of the future. I'll see you in the next one.